New Bassmaster Elite Series qualifiers, 10-pound smallmouth bass, the Redfish Cup, and a whole bunch of other stuff is covered this week with friend of the show, Bassmaster behind-the-scenes videographer, host of Jake's Take, Jake Latendresse, this week on...
I'm Bob Cobb from the Bassmaster. Welcome to Mercer.
Welcome one, welcome all, friends, family, freeloaders, fishing freaks. Welcome to the Awkwardly Honest Fishing Podcast that goes by my last name, which is Mercer. And literally just got home from Port Aransas, Texas, and was there for the Yamaha Redfish Cup World Championship. Yamaha Bassmaster Redfish Cup World Championship. How could I get that wrong? I've said it 7,000 times the last few days. An amazing event and a lot of fun. And before we bring in our guest here this week, I just got a text from my buddy Guck. And Guck, Alan McGuckin from Dynamic Sports, is a big supporter of bass at a lot of events and covering. His company runs a lot of this stuff that the activations, Toyota, Yamaha, PowerPay, all those sort of things, they're all run through Guck's company. So anyways, he's got a big heart, but he introduced me to somebody earlier this year at a Bassmaster event, Brady Winans. I believe that's how it's properly pronounced. A really amazing dude, obsessed with the sport of fishing, dreams to be the classic, just like everybody, just like all of us. Well, Brady went fishing 11 months ago and had a horrific accident. I don't need to get into the details of the injuries because I'm not educated enough to explain them properly, but basically it was a foggy morning and they were running and they hit the dam at the end of the lake, and he was catapulted out of the boat. So many doctors have told him he should not have survived it, but because of such amazing things happening, he did survive that. And we were lucky enough to have him on Bass Live to tell his story as kind of a warning, because it can happen to anyone. I mean, there's a reason they're called accidents. And Guck sent me a text this morning, and the lake that this happened on, I believe, was Lake Tawakoni. It happened 11 months ago. Well, just to make you feel good about life and good about how even bad things, there's a silver lining and some goodness around them. This past weekend, 11 months after being almost killed, still in a chair on the back deck of his buddy's bass boat, Brady Winan won a 2-day tournament with his buddy. The first tournament he's fished since the accident, but from the back deck of his buddy's boat, in his wheelchair, they went in 32 pounds and won this past weekend. And if nothing more from this podcast gives you anything, that right there should make you feel just good about overcoming. Everybody's got something they have to overcome, and don't take things for granted, because as Brady is happily living proof how quick things can change. But congratulations and thanks. Not just for taking your accident and turning it into a way for people to learn, but for taking your accident and inspiring people, because there's people all around the world for many, many different reasons. Some of them are injuries, some of them is physical, some of it's mental, some of it's emotional. People have so much to overcome, and thank you for showing us all that it's possible. And congratulations on a great event. So yeah, I just had to share that with you, and that's that story. I just had to get that out there. Now, speaking of stories, this next guest has been to over 65 Grateful Dead concerts. An ice climber, a Bassmaster videographer, behind-the-scenes machine, friend of the show, all the way from Colorado, Jake Latendresse. That's what it stands for. The tenderness. Jake Latendresse. Tenderness? It's Jake's take. Jake, last time I saw you, I was sweating in Port Aransas, Texas, and it took me all of 2 minutes walking to my truck to realize that, yes, I do like sweating more than shivering. Damn. How come the world's so small? Like, it seems so easy to get to it on a plane, but then you come home and you're like, yeah, this is just starting.
It was humid. That's what hit
Yeah, it
me
really
when I
was.
got off the plane. It was like whack right in the face. Because when I left my house in Colorado on Thursday morning, it was 32 or 33 degrees when I left my house. And then I get to Port Aransas and it was 85 degrees. I was like, whew.
And all day, like you woke up, it was 85 degrees. It just got sunnier as the day went on. That's for those, let's be more professional about what we're doing. We just got back from the Yamaha Bassmaster Redfish Cup Championship in Port Aransas, Texas. And that part of the world, dude, like every time I go there, second trip there, but I'm always like, wow, it's like a hidden gem of Texas. Like I've found myself several times saying, like, since I got back from Florida, because that's literally, you feel like you're, and not just Florida, but you feel like you're in the Keys, kind of.
It reminds me of the panhandle of
Yeah.
Florida, or even maybe up around the Outer Banks of North Carolina. It's got that coastal vacation feel to it. And I found myself too driving around from Corpus Christi to Port Aransas and back. Like, if you lived in Texas, why would you ever go to Florida or Alabama to the beach when you've got all that right there? That's pretty cool. Not to mention the fact that it's all, really oriented around fishing. There's a lot of fishing there. So that's pretty cool place.
Yeah, it's like a beach vacation place, but don't get it wrong. Everybody's fishing. Like you drive down the beach, which is the coolest thing about there. You can literally drive on the beach for miles and miles and miles, and you see boats, fishing right there, or guys on their trucks set up like boats, basically with rod holders and everything, fishing right there. And it's just a freaking really cool part of the world. Like and the weird thing is, and it took me, I don't know if I realized it last time or this time, but like I kept thinking, I know this place from somewhere, and I totally know it from beachfront bargain hunt. Because and as I drove around the beach and saw like the Palms property, I remembered like, watching and being like, welcome to cozy Port Aransas, situated off the coast. Bob and Steve, but not Bob and Steve, Bob and Shirley, maybe Bob and Steve, have made their money in the tech industry and they're ready to settle down, but they don't want to blow the budget. And Port Aransas becomes so yeah, everywhere I drove around, I had that commentator's voice in my head. I don't know why. It was just for me.
The only thing that irritated me about that place was the street legal golf carts. And when you get behind 2 or 3 of them, you can't pass them.
No,
you just have to go 20 miles an hour. That's it.
As a guy who drove around one day in a street legal golf cart, I don't give a shit what you think, Jake. They're awesome.
And
I mean, there is also a drive-through. We did not do it on live, and I wish we did. There is a drive-through daiquiri bar, but they put a little piece of tape over the straw, so you're allowed to carry it.
Carry out.
Nobody removes the tape, I'm sure.
That's funny that you say that, because I was sitting there thinking, no matter how irritated I am right now, because I was actually trying to get to urgent care quickly. And I had these golf carts in front of me and I'm going, these guys don't give a shit. They're on vacation right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I would feel the same way.
And that's kind of the cool thing. You take the ferry across and you do feel like it takes on like that whole, it's just a cool vibe. But yeah, the golf carts, I'm sure. And all I kept thinking is like, what is this place like when it's full? Like that goes from a population of 3,500 to 100,000 people in peak season. It must just be, side by side and golf cart palooza.
Panama City, Florida. That's what it reminds me of. Panama City Beach, Florida.
Yes. So we were there for the Redfish Cup, which was a great event. And every time I go to it, I realize it's so cool that Yamaha and B.A.S. are pushing to bring that back, because it means so much to the redfish world. And as far as coverage, dude, I think, I mean, to me, there was two things that stood out. I mean, there was parts where I was like, yeah, I like bass tournaments better than this. You know what I mean? Like at certain parts, because a lot of drift's not as pinpoint in some situations. You know what I mean? You're following track lines. You're not quite as precise. But dude, when they hook the fish, it's got it all over bass fishing. Like watching, Zaldane and Rickard in that fish that was this close, which you were right there for. Dude, bass fishing misses that whole like the 3-minute fight where you're lifting your trolling motor, your big motor, and screaming at each other, and it's the wonderful part of red fishing.
I mean, they went 360 degrees around the boat. A 10 and a quarter pound redfish. I mean, the fight that thing put on, and Rickard was using spinning gear, which I wish I would have asked him why they choose to use spinning gear, because I don't know the answer to that. Do you?
I think just because of the drag. I mean, those things make zippy runs. Like I compared them to a smallmouth bass. Like it's almost like a shallow water smallmouth bass. And then me and Paul Nick were talking, and we even fine-tuned it. It's like a smallmouth and a carp had a baby.
Yeah, there you go.
There was a love tryst between a smallmouth bass and a carp, which we will talk about a smallmouth bass that might have been part carp from Lake Erie in a little bit. But they make those quick runs. You know what I mean? And I think spinning makes sense to me in that situation. I mean, I guess a baitcaster, maybe you'll be able to drive the hook home a little more, but are they line sensitive at all?
I don't think so. I mean, Zaldane was throwing baitcasters.
Yeah.
They're throwing the same baits, whether it was topwater or a big swim bait or a big spoon or a small spoon or whatever it was. They were throwing the same baits, but Zaldane was throwing bait casters 90% of the time, and Rickard was throwing spin casters 100% of the time. So, and I think you're right. I think it is the drag, but
casting
either way,
distance,
what's that?
Casting distance too. A lot of guys can fling it further on a spinning rod.
Possibly. I mean, Zaldane was, freaking bomb casting swim baits like he normally does, but
he's from Texas. They won't let him back in if he uses spinning rod too much.
That's true. That's true. That's true. The interesting thing was the big ones, when they get to the boat, they always want to go under the boat. So then the guy without, that's not on the fish, is tending the trolling motor. He's lifting it up. He's the guy getting the net ready, and the other guy's going all the way around the boat, literally. And Rickard on that big 10 and a quarter pound that they had to turn loose because it was like 3/8 to a half inch too long. Yeah, with an hour to go. Anyway, that fish,
for those
spun
that
him
didn't
around the
see
boat
it,
twice.
the fish has to be between 20 inches and 28 inches. That's
the slot.
Why they had to let that fish go. If it's outside of the slot, if it's below it or above 20 and 28, you got to let it go. And their fish was literally 28 and an eighth or a quarter. It was literally like, I mean, I was like, put it in the live one and put some ice in there. Let it get some shrinkage or something.
Well, what Ryan Rickard said was, had it been an eighth of an inch over, he would have taken his chances, because they tense up when they go to weigh in, and they always lose at least an eighth of an inch. So he would have taken the chances, but it was 3/8 to a half inch, somewhere around there. And so he felt like, he didn't want to risk it, because they had already sewn up second place, and they knew that just based on the weight that they had versus the weights that the other teams had before they left that morning. So he's like, man, we need this fish to win, but we don't need this fish so bad that it would DQ us into the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah. So would they have won with that fish? Have you done the math?
I didn't do the
overtaken O'Connell and Adams.
I didn't do the final weight, but at that time, for sure, on Bass Track, because they O'Connell's team had 1610 on Bass Track for the day, and I think they were 4 pounds something ounces over, and Zaldane and Rickard had, I think, I think 13 plus some change. So had they caught that a 10-pound fish, or even a 9 and a half fish, pound fish would have done it. And the thing that I was thinking about that whole time was, O'Connell and them, they went back to the freaking dock. They went back to the
right
wharf.
Before that, you hooked up. It was like the best bass live ever, because they're like, we're going back to shore. If it's our time, it's our time. If we win. And then, like, the very next segment is like, I've got this monster. It was perfect.
It was almost like they fumbled the football before they crossed the goal line. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I mean, you can't say. I mean, yeah, if that fish is that much shorter.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean.
I also feel like, dude, they weigh out. I mean, congratulations to them, because Zaldane and Rickard, to defend their title, literally weighed in, I think, more weight than they predicted at the beginning to win the tournament. But O'Connell and Adams blew it away. Like, they had 16 pounds every single day. And these are 2 fish limits.
And they, Zaldane and Rickard weighed more fish this year. They had higher weight this year than they did last year.
Wow.
And still came in second. So like you said, kudos to the winning team. They freaking hammered them, and they were very consistent. They caught the right fish all 3 days. That was a cool tournament. And it does remind me of smallmouth fishing too, especially like in some of those places on St. Clair or up around Traverse City, where Zona and KVD fish.
Mitchell's Bay and St. Clair. You know, those sand flats?
Yeah, it's the same thing. They're all, and those fish are waiting. The redfish are, they hook up around those sand holes in the grass. I mean, it's really the same thing. Throwing swim baits. I heard someone was throwing a chatterbait day one.
Oh, a lot of people, and people caught him on chatterbait last year too. That who was it? Wes Logan, I think, threw a chatterbait quite a bit, and I think Drew Cook did. I mean, it's very, very similar. Like, it's, but I think they're even more sensitive. And as weird as that's, like, I really watched how the adjustments and the things that guys had made. And smallmouth, dude, they're pretty top on the food chain in the fisheries they're in. You know what I mean? Right. Yes, I get it. A pike, a muskie could grab a smallmouth bass, sure. But especially the bigger smallmouth bass. So they're literally just predators. They're not really worried about a lot. These fish are worried about everything. I mean, if you look what a redfish is on the food chain in Port Aransas, it is it's a freaking crappie.
Bull sharks, black tip sharks. There's all kinds of stuff out there that can eat you. If you expose yourself.
So I just think they're so much more sensitive to sound, to everything. But yeah, it was a great event, and you kind of alluded to it. I mean, all week you kept telling me we got to get the weigh-in done on Saturday quick, because I got to see that Tennessee game. But I was unaware of how committed you were to seeing that Tennessee game, because you went and got sick.
I went and got strep throat on purpose so I could miss Saturday and watch the game. No. I actually thought that, man, I should just show up for work as sick as I am, because I didn't want anyone to think that, actually. But the game started at 2:30, and weigh-in started at 2, or check-in was at 2:45. So it wasn't like I was going to miss a lot of the game anyway,
Yeah, I mean, we know you really had strep throat, and it's funny because, like, I got it at an event a year or two ago, and it looks good that the pattern continues. That the moment that people realize you don't have COVID, they're like, "Good, you're fine. Come on back to work."
Yeah, exactly. Or the first, but even precursor to that is if you're like, well, should I tell anyone that I'm sick right now before I go to the hospital? Because everyone is going to jump on the gun and go, "Oh, he's got COVID."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, stay away from me.
Dude, that's why I always say COVID is the single most, and here I'm going to get real deep here, single most disruptive, separating, whatever the right adjective to it is, the single most selfish thing that's ever, like, if you look at it, divides people more than anything, more than world wars. I mean, even when the world was fighting Germany, the rest of the world came together and fought Germany. this is, you can't help it. If somebody comes up to you and says to you, hey, it's horrible news. Like I'm sick. I've got a heart problem or something, the first thing you think of is that person. But if somebody comes up to you and says, hey, did you hear so-and-so might have COVID? Like everybody thinks of themselves. You know what I mean? Right away. It's
100%. It's
so
weird.
anyways, once we realized you didn't kill us all, we were, no, I think everybody was concerned about you, obviously. And
man,
like a champ, you rallied quick.
Well, you say that, and I would like to say thanks to everyone at the dock, West Logan, Polinick, everybody. Everybody, Steve Wright, Bowman, everybody came up to me on Sunday and said, "Are you okay? Are you feeling better? I'm glad you're back." I mean, the word spread very quickly, and I really, really, from a heartfelt perspective, I really appreciate that from everyone. That was pretty cool.
Dude, I told you, it's
People actually
important to
do
miss
care.
a day or two once a decade,
You figure out who your friends really are.
Like... Oh, they were dirting you on Saturday morning, though. You should know. I'm only joking.
That bastard he just did that to watch the Tennessee-Georgia game. Now he's back because Tennessee lost.
No, nobody said that. Nobody said that. But I'm glad you were doing okay. It sucks to be sick on the road. You know what I mean? It's just like, what do I do now? Like your hotel is bearable if you're only in there for a few hours. You know what I mean? Like, but if you're stuck in there and you got, nobody to help you or anything, it kind of sucks. So thanks for being a trooper.
Well, thank you, Dave. Did you have fun?
I loved it. I loved that event. It was really fun. Yeah. But they let me kind of, for Bass Live, they let me go do a lot of the old stuff that I used to get to do before we had a set and everything. Yeah. Like I went out and went to a sand castle competition. I went and ripped around in a side-by-side through town. A lot of just fun stuff. I mean, I went to the Tarpon Inn several times because that's one of the coolest things ever. Like they have a tarpon scales all over the wall in the lobby. Everybody that's ever caught a tarpon there, that area, Port Aransas, here's a lesson for you if you didn't tune in. It used to be called Tarpon, Texas, up till 1910 because of the abundant tarpon in the area. And they have all sorts of celebrities and notable people that have signed these, but the most notable, FDR, Franklin Roosevelt, ex-president. See, even though I'm Canadian, I know these things. But it was pretty cool to see all that. So yeah, I had a lot of fun at that event. I thought it was a really cool event. I hope we do it back there again. Like, I really hope it stays in Port Aransas for a while. I mean, it might have to move around, but I just feel like it's such a cool location. Like to duplicate that is it's so different and so cool. Like so yeah, it was a good week. I think.
I asked Ryan Rickard, him being a professional redfish tournament angler that he does several different circuits and he's been all over the country fishing for redfish. And I asked him, we were out on the boat on Sunday as we were starting to, during that midday lull, I said, what is considered to be the world's best? Like, what is the epicenter? What is the world's best redfish location to fish? And he said, honestly, right here in Port Aransas, a lot of people would say Louisiana, parts of Louisiana is really the epicenter of it all. But it's really hard when Port Aransas is on fire. It's hard to beat that area for red fishing. Apparently, yeah. I don't know, but I do now. So that's pretty cool.
And I just mean, as an event, it just feels like we're doing something different. Visually, exactly. I heard from a lot of people, and more people this year than last year. A lot of people reached out to me from the bass world and said, man, I'm really enjoying following this. But part of the reason was because it's so different. If you go to Venice, which I imagine is one of those redfish meccas, I know that it is.
It is.
Mm-hmm. But we've seen a lot of Venice, you know what I mean? Even in bass tournaments and stuff like that. Now, if we go to Venice, trust me, to the people of Venice, I'm happy to be there next year. So wherever it is, cool. But I really like Port Aransas. It's a pretty cool thing. And it was a great week. You got anything else more about that before I move on? I may or may not have just belched in the microphone. I don't know how sensitive it is. I did not mean that if I
Thank
did.
God we can't smell it. I would like to say one thing, one of my curiosities as a coverage guy there was, how these these Bassmaster Elite guys felt about being there, how they adjusted to what was going on, how they kind of had to play second fiddle to the captain of the boat. It wasn't their,
Yeah.
they wasn't in their control all of a sudden. And, from what I saw, all the teams got along really well.
Yeah.
They figured out obviously we know those elite or professionals, and they knew where their position was, and all of them would say either on stage or on live or whatever it was, I don't know anything about these fish. Like I'm at his mercy, to learn more about these. And every time I go out or every time I make a cast, I learn something new. And I thought that was pretty cool that, watching someone like Chris Zaldain, who has a lot of experience on the elite trail, asking questions to Ryan Rickert about, what he's seeing. How do you know that's a redfish opposed to a mullet that's waking out there or whatever it is? How do you know that? And so there was constant education going back and forth between the two. And I found that to be really, really cool, really, refreshing, if you will, in a sense. And I enjoyed myself. I'm kind of glad it's not a 4-day tournament. 3 days is probably enough of that because it's the same thing over and over. But I had a really, really good time, and I would definitely do that again.
Yeah, no, it's a great time. And I think I said that on stage a few times. What stands out about that event is watching the two different pros from different worlds and how they complement each other and how they, and I don't mean physically, I don't mean like verbal compliments. I mean, just compliment each other in the water. Like they end up learning from each other. And one thing that really stood out this year, and I heard it a lot on stage, but I just saw it a lot. I think one thing stood out about the Elite Series guys and their work ethic. You like in the way that you did in the redfish world, and I get it. They see a lot of fish and stuff like that, but you put a fish in the box and they'll wipe their hands and they'll eat a sandwich and take a little while. Every time, like with the elite guys, they're up there, they're firing until the last second. So it's just
100%.
I think everybody learns, and I just think it's cool to see something totally different and lots of cool things. But
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
I mean to interrupt you.
Yep. Hey, let's be polite. You go ahead. No, you go.
The baits, even Ryan was throwing some of the prototype swim baits that Zaldain had in his box.
Yeah.
And they were throwing bass baits at these redfish. It was cool. It was so cool and so familiar, unfamiliar yet familiar.
Yeah, no, very cool. Other cool things in Bassmaster news is Larry Nixon coming back to the freaking Elite Series, coming to the Elite Series. He was, on the previous top 150s and everything. I mean, he is the general. He is, it's incredible to have him back on the Bassmaster Elite Series. And it's pretty cool to see him get that opportunity. And it's something you're looking forward to, I imagine, Jake.
It is. I've never met Larry Nixon. I've known about him my entire life growing up on Kentucky Lake. And I really look forward. This is an opportunity. And I've heard this from several elite guys, even away from the Redfish Cup, text me and mention, man, can you believe this? They were like, I knew something was up when I saw him at Rayburn fishing in the open at Rayburn.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool to see them excited to be able to share a field for at least one entire season with Larry Nixon on the Bassmaster Elite Tour. That's like having Richard Petty back in NASCAR,
Yeah, and I mean he's the dude from the beginning of the Bassmaster original show, that fish that jumps by the pads. Look at the size of that bass. That's Larry Nixon. At the Hall of Fame this year. I mean, every time I've ever seen Larry Nixon my entire life, he's been nothing but really nice to me. We've always, and haven't spent a ton of time together, but every time I've ever seen him, he's always been great, very jovial. But we spent a lot of time together at the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame this year. And, it was at the after party. He called me over and we spent, 30, 40 minutes just talking, just one-on-one. And that conversation makes a lot more sense to me now.
Yeah. To everyone.
Why does Larry Nixon want to talk
how
to
old
me?
is he?
I don't know. I mean, I've never introduced him. I know he's from B Branch, Arkansas. That's all I can tell you. Let talk about something and I'll try to Google it. Tell me what you were about to say about Larry Nixon.
I was just going to say that, I mean, when he fished that Sam Rayburn Open, everyone was like, is that the Larry Nixon? It was like, yeah, that's him, boys. What is he doing here? Why is he here? And there were a couple of people. I think Lee Livesey texted me first. I think he guessed
72.
it. 72. He guessed it first. He sent me a text. He goes, dude, here's my prediction. Larry Nixon is coming back to fish the elites, but he went in to fish the opens because he's going to take his legacy card into the elites, but he wants to fish the open to legitimize it.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And
it was, I mean, there's so much floats around about that Legends exemption. Like the opportunity has to be right. Number one, Rick Clunn requalified for the Elite Series this past year. So the two Legends exemptions to the previous year were Rick Clunn and David Fritz. Now, David Fritz is using a Legends exemption, and they're giving two Legends exemptions, and the other one went to Larry Nixon this time around. So, I mean, I think it's awesome to have him back. I mean, how cool would it be for him and Clunn to go down to the wire on an event?
Oh my goodness.
It'd be awesome. It would be really, really awesome. But it's cool to have him back. And another big dude coming back or fishing his way back is current reigning and maybe not defending Red Crest champion, Big Fish Bobby Lane. One of my favorite dudes on the planet, honestly. If you ever get the opportunity to drink a beer at somebody's boat and just talk, there is no more entertaining. You don't have to drink beer, but I like to. There's no more entertaining dude out there. And Bobby Lane has made the commitment to fish the opens. There's a lot of rumors that there is another guy doing that. I don't know if it's true, but if it is true, Big Bass Bobby Lane, Big Fish Bobby Lane, there's another big bass dude that might be trying to come back. And I welcome all of them back to the Elite Series and wish them good luck in the opens because it's going to be freaking awesome to watch again this year.
My prediction is Bobby Lane's going to qualify through his first year in the opens into the elites. And I'm excited to have Bobby Lane back. He's the most masculine dude in bass fishing, man. Like that dude's he's like the Incredible Hulk to me. He swings a big rod, and when he sets the hook, it. And I have a story about Bobby Lane on Ross Barnett that I'll share with you really quickly that will never ever leave my memory, and it'll never leave my body. We were at Ross Barnett. He was punching mats, really thick mats with like an ounce and a half or ounce and 3/4 jig. And he set the hook on a bass and missed it. And the jig comes flying out. He's angled to his left. So he's setting the hook from left to right. And I'm in the right back corner of the boat filming, and his jig comes flying. I could see it in my lens. I heard it coming. Like I heard it whistling like a bullet, and it hit me right here in the chest. It went through. I had a hoodie just like this on. It went through my hoodie, through my t-shirt, and into the meat of my chest. And I hit the deck, dropped my camera. Bobby dropped his rod.
The pain, not the actual object, went through your material.
No, the object went through my hoodie, through my t-shirt.
How the hell can that? It's not a bullet.
I'm telling you, it went eye first, and it came at me like a bullet. I'm telling you. And listen, he dropped his rod. He came running back there, and he goes, "Dude, are you okay?" And I was laying on the back deck of the boat. Yeah, exactly. I got up and I looked down and I had blood on my hoodie. So I pulled my shirt and my hoodie up, and there was the jig in. I pulled it out and pulled it out of my my hoodie, through my hoodie, pulled my shirt up and went, oh my God. And now I have a raised scar on my chest from where that jig hit me in the chest that day at Ross Barnett from Bobby Lane. That's my, and I'll take that to my grave. I'll have that forever. It's kind of a cool story. It's like a tattoo.
I've never ever heard of it going through material and two levels of material. Like,
It went through. I came back to the boat. I came back to the camera trailer, and I showed it to Wes and Carrie. I go, look at this, because they saw it on live, because the jig looked like it was coming into the camera and just went under the camera, right? So when we got back, they asked about. I lifted my shirt up, and I had a slice, and I had an open wound, probably needed a stitch or two in my chest. And Wes goes, dude, it looks like you got shot with a freaking rifle. And that's what it looked like. No kidding. That's a true story. True story.
Dude, I've never ever heard of that. That is incredible.
It
You guys got to
happens.
start wearing bulletproof vests.
I mean, a face mask,
Bobby
all kinds
proof.
of stuff. Yeah, exactly.
It sounds like a story you would tell like a young camera guy. Like when Bobby Lane comes back to the Elite Series, it sounds like the kind of thing that a like bully camera guy would tell, like last time I fished with Bobby, let me tell you how that worked out. I still bear a scar.
You think all we do is run cameras around here.
Well, I know you get hit and stuff. I just have never heard. That's some serious. Little part of me still feels like you're lying, Jake, but you've never lied to me in our entire life. I mean, so
I give you my word. I swear on my life that happened. I'm telling you.
The one question I want to ask Bobby Lane is, and dude, this has been I don't want to insert myself in this, so I won't even say that. But I want to ask Bobby Lane how much watching Jason Christie win the Classic motivated this decision.
Dude.
Like they watched him go, and there was many people. I can't believe he's going back to the Open. Same thing with Prosnick, and same thing with Hackney, and all of them. Ike. But man, how smart do they look right now? And I got to feel, if you're Bobby Lane, you are living, and you're like, man, I won the Red Crest. How many more of these do I have to win before I stop looking at my brother's trophy and say, man, I want that? And then he watches Christie come over and make it happen. And
think about this. If he were to come back and win the Classic before anyone else comes back to try to win the Classic, if he were to win the Classic, he would be the only professional bass angler in the world to win the Red Crest Cup, which is their top trophy. That's their big $300,000 trophy, and the Classic. Having both of those trophies on your trophy shelf or your mantle or whatever you put them in your house, that would be something to be proud of. That's like a Babe Ruth level.
That's what Hackney's trying to do, right? I mean, it's and I heard Bobby explain it, and this is not a slight, but I guess he won the world championship too when it was for just the TV show. So
he would be the first to have 3 titles.
Yeah, and Hackney's got all those, but the Bassmaster Classic as well. And Hackney also has Angler of the Year, I believe, on both ends. So it's crazy. I mean, to see who will be the first one to seal the deal on that. But I think it says a lot about Bobby Lane just coming back to qualify, and I have no doubt that he'll be back in the Elite Series, and I can't wait to.
I'm glad he's coming back.
I look forward to introducing him. I look forward to seeing him do well in tournaments, but I really just look forward to having a beer with him beside his boat, because those are some of my best Bobby Lane memories. And he shares stories with me that, man, if I could just share a little of them, this podcast would get a lot more views. Trust me. Him and Chris are incredibly entertaining. So anyways, Lake Erie's on fire. Not sure if you've heard. I was there the week before and thought it was a big deal that I caught a 712. Me and my buddy Simon Frost, who has taught me everything I basically know about big water bass fishing. especially on Lake Erie. Me and him went out, shot a show together, 32.5 pounds for our 5 biggest. And you're feeling like, and I don't think we talked, but me and Paul Nick had been messaging and stuff. And I'm like, this lake's ready to explode. Like right now, there's so much going on, and the weather conditions were perfect. And I was stuck in a freaking fog delay going to Port Aransas that morning. Well, it turns out said fog delay, bad luck for me, good luck for them. Not that I would have been anywhere near where they were fishing, because they caught it near Peely Island. But we have a brand new Canadian record smallmouth bass, 10.15. So it's not 10.15. Don't get confused. Just over 10 pounds.
Okay.
But kudos to them. What a freaking freak. But
oh my goodness.
I was stuck in that fog delay saying, I just want to go to Erie. I can't believe, like, I've never wanted to, just because you'll be able to catch them for the next month and a half. It just won't be as comfortable as it was going to be for the next few days, and the wind had laid down and whatever. But man, what a mutant fish, a mutant fish. And the crazy thing is, Jake, I don't think it's, and this is nuts, because you look as long as the record lasted, I feel like you'll see another, maybe not this year, but in the next few years. It's like there's too many 7s being caught. 7s used to be so rare. Now the amount, like almost every Great Lakes angler I know has caught a 7. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like the 7s become a 5.
And 8s and 9s. You're hearing more 8s and 9s you can call. I mean, there's no way you're wrong. You're totally right. 10-pounders are coming, which is great for bass fishing.
Yeah. Those poor buggers, though, like to catch it on Erie a few weeks after the idiots with the lead. Every post that I put a picture up, and if you read through the amount of people making their super original, check it for lead. Yeah. Ironically, it did get checked for that, by the way. Just so you know, the ministry, or I think it was Ohio, that did it, but their fisheries, whatever it's called, they did, and they voluntarily asked the guy who caught it, would you do this? And he said, yeah, I'll voluntarily do that. So they x-rayed the fish, and there was no lead weights in it or anything. And the crazy thing, dude, look at that fish. It's not even done. Like that fish, it is now, unfortunately. Sad story about it was according to these guys, the Ohio, like they wanted to let the fish go. They did everything to let the fish go, and they kept it alive in the live well, and then put it in an aerated cooler. But Ohio, I won't even say their name because I'm not even sure which one it is. But they basically said, we got to keep the fish, and they're going to do a bunch of medical examinations and stuff like that. But the other thing is that fish probably wasn't spawning that much anymore, as old as it would be. But kudos to them. Congratulations. I reached out to the guy. He responded to me, and responded right away, actually followed me beforehand. So I was like, yeah, I'll reach out to this guy, and told him congratulations. It was the guy's son. Then I asked him to come on the podcast for 10 minutes, and they didn't respond for the next 3 days. So screw you. But congratulations. I mean, I wouldn't come on this podcast either, but he was so quick. I mean, right away, like he answered me within 20 minutes, like of the original message. I'm like, oh, great. We'll get him on for 10 minutes. We'll talk with Jake. It'll be wonderful. They didn't answer. Left me on red. I feel like.
What's up with that?
Yeah.
They probably got bombarded with podcasts.
Oh, I'm sure.
Man.
I'm sure. And so they should, and it should be celebrated. But dude, like every record, more and more is coming out about it. The guy openly said he thought he had a sheep's head on, like when he first hooked it. And he said for the first minute, he said, I was reefing on it, hoping it would come off, because his son was catching a bunch of fish. He was throwing a moving bait. His son was throwing a drop bait. They're very secretive. They're working on some pelagic work. That's all they'll tell the world. Chasing a pelagic bass. So his son was catching him, and then he finally put down the moving bait that he was catching the week before, and he threw it on the first drop, and his son kind of bird dogged it, said, that looks like a big one and forward facing. So again, if you hate forward facing, sorry. I like 10-pounders.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So he he got it right away. But he said it was so powerful. He said, I thought it was a drum. So he literally horsed it. And then when it got to the surface, they were like, dang. And dang is right, because it's double-digit smallmouth bass. And the world record's 11 pounds, 15 ounces from Dale Hollow. And I think that give it time, man. That fish, give it another month. That fish doesn't get caught a month from now. That fish is, it's not 11-15, but it's probably closing in on 11.
Yeah, I mean, all over, even out here in Colorado,
Yeah.
we're catching 5 and 6 pound smallmouth. In Idaho, they're catching 8 and 9 pounders, lots of 7 pounders. We all know about the St. Lawrence River. Someone's going to catch. I remember being out there on Lake Ontario this year with Zaldane going, dude, there's got to be a 10 pounder out here somewhere.
Oh,
Got to be.
Well, dude, wasn't Mueller 713?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was in the middle of the summer.
Yeah,
713. So tell me how big that fish is.
Right. Well, you're talking about, what do you talk? So hey, that's probably almost a 9 pound fish in the fall, right?
You'd think so. I mean, they don't all have the genetic that they balloon up, but they all get bigger. Like even the 712 that I caught the week before, that whole bag, 32.5 pounds, and none of those fish were blimpish. All those fish were thick, like they were as thick at the bottom as they were at the top. Their shoulders went right down, but none of them had the big blimp yet. So they're just starting. Like the water's warmer this year than it's been in a while. So I think that could help. Just think of the difference that makes. If you get just a couple of weeks, if it warms up 2 weeks earlier than normal, and if it stays, more importantly, if it stays warm for another 2 weeks, dude, that's 2 more weeks of active, like growing, not just feeding up, but actively, which is a huge percentage of their growth time if you put it in. So it makes total sense to me, but congratulations to those guys.
What a fish.
Yeah. What a fish. Amazing.
Fish.
Amazing.
I've never caught a 10 pound largemouth.
I mean, it's true though. That 10 pound largemouth that's the
giant
number. You know what I mean? Like, did you catch a 10 pounder? And doing it in smallmouths, it's the same reason that I think J.C. Kirk's record will get beaten. Like, I don't think
you said that. Yeah.
I don't think that's where, I mean, everything has to be right. That's almost in some ways a harder record to break. I mean, not because there's more 100-pound bags in Lake St. Lawrence River than there is 10 pounders. So you can't say it's harder, but what I'm saying is with the 100 pounds, you got to have 4 days of right weather. You literally just have to have that one giant fish snap and eat at the right time. You know what I mean? And it's
I mean, like you guys caught a 32-pound bag on your own. I mean, you have in a tournament, you have 3 25-pound bags, and then you land a 30 or 32-pound bag one day, and it's like, and then everything gets shattered.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. We should replace.
Easy, but it's not unachievable.
Right. If we don't go back to St. Lawrence at some point, we should go back. We should go to Lake Erie soon.
Oh, I've been begging for it, like since I started working for B.A.S. But I mean, I guess the problem is they feel like there's not a lot of places to go. Out of Buffalo, you're kind of right in it, but there's a big long river that we could use on a blow off day. That, isn't Lake Erie, but it is. But hey, this fish came from Peely. So everybody go to Peely. Never mind Buffalo, go to Peely. It's where all the 10 pounders are. I hear that they're at least 2 pounds bigger if you go to Peely Island area. So head on over there. It's a great place to go fishing. Dude, I was so worried. Like there was initially, I was like, oh my God, everybody's going to go there. And then I was like, when I found out it was Peely, I was like, I'm going to talk about that incessantly. So people go. No, I mean, dude, that fish is so rare. I mean, it's taken this long to get one. So it's not, it's, I don't think that I'm not belittling their catch at all when I say that it'll get broken again. It just feels like I don't have any scientific proof, but the fact that they're the Ohio guys that are cutting this fish up and doing a study, they've already told them that they said it was mid to high teens. people are thinking that fish is in its 20s. It's not, man. They look at how small their mouths are. That one had a big mouth, but it did. It's a 15-year-old, 16-year-old fish, maybe 17, 18. But look at how small a 3-pounder is on Lake Erie now. They're just like their max density. You know what I mean? Like their mouths are just tiny and they're just giant. So I think that, and it's not just Lake Erie. It's Lake Ontario, Lake Erie, Mille Lacs, it goes on and on.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Cayuga. Cayuga took the New York State record this year, which blows me away that a giant smallmouth 8.5, I think it was, came from Cayuga, not from one of the Great Lakes. Like that's nuts. And that's, you want to see how good a lake is. It had an 8.5 smallmouth this year. And what was it, 2 years before? The Derek Hudnall caught an 8-pound largemouth during the tournament. For an inland lake.
That's crazy.
Smallmouth bass fishing in the north has never been better than it is right now.
Wait till someone catches a 10-pound smallmouth live on Bassmaster Live.
I will defecate.
Everybody will
and ejaculate all at once. It'll be a mess. I'm sorry. I used educated words to make it less dirty.
He did. I'm steering away from that one.
So you didn't just shoot the redfish deal. You did 2 opens before that, correct? The final 2 opens of
I filmed
2022.
Yep. Filmed Tristan McCormick win Lake Hartwell Open, which was really cool. Tristan
Hammer.
He's hammer. He is focused. That's what I would say. There's a lot of really good young fishermen, even at the high school and in the college level. He's obviously graduated from college and he moved up into the opens and he fishes all of them. I think he missed one this year, which is one of the reasons why he wasn't able to qualify for the elites, which who knows if he would have or wouldn't have, but he missed one of the opens because he went to the St. Lawrence, I think after Oneida, to fish the St. Lawrence River or fish a tournament there or something. So he did miss one of the opens this year, but Tristan will be, in my opinion, he's going to be up in the elites really soon. He is a very focused angler and he's very good at it.
Dude, he made last year's classic from the college deal. And now he's making this year's classic from the opens. To make the classic 2 years in a row from 2 different routes
and not be in the elites yet is crazy.
He's incredible and a great dude, that like one of those young guys who has everything. You know what I mean? Like his marketability, his fishing education, just everything. He is. I hate when people that guy's got the total package, but definitely he is one of those anglers. And he's, look at how many of them just come. Like you look at him and Cody Huff and Jacob Fouts, and the list goes on and on and on. I shouldn't even start mentioning names because somebody's going to say you left me out. But they're so much more prepared. Like, in the past, it was like, here's a rookie he's really good at cranking. Wait till we get to here. It's like these guys are good at everything. So
secure it. All these guys, and the thing that stands out about all of them that are at that level now, they all stay very calm. Even under pressure, they're always, they don't freak out and lose their minds when, they don't spin out. And that's why they are where they are. Cause they have access to all the knowledge. Everything's on YouTube. Everything's live scope now. Kids are good at video games. They've adapted to this or that or whatever you want to say about it. But at the end of the day, you still got to keep your shit together. And those guys do it really, really well. All of them do. They're insane.
I wonder how much.
I love it.
Do you think Jordan Lee has much to do with that? When you think about it, like pre-Jordan Lee's success, like we had different guys who made it to the classic and had their moment and fished the opens. But Jordan Lee makes it and then just literally, shows how quick it can happen. But I think I think the anglers are getting better, number one. But I also think like Jordan Lee had to help a lot of them believe that was real in their head. Like previous to that, people were like, yeah, you got to be around for 4 or 5 years and then you start getting your opportunities. And the other thing is, I think the fact that like every media source for the first time in the history of the sport, young anglers get more hype than older anglers just because they're the best at what is dominating some tournaments right now. So yeah, I asked you a question, but then rambled on. But do you think Jordan Lee affected that?
I think he did. He sparked the fire, but I think you could also go down into the, high school. I mean, I've covered
All of
high
it,
school
yeah.
national championships for 3 years, college for 3 years. Now it's all of them. Like
Yeah.
they're all good at what they're doing at the championship level, whether it's high school, the college bracket, or the college national championship. They're all really, they know what they're doing. Can you tell a difference between them and the elites? Absolutely. You can tell. You can go to the open level, cover those guys, not to take anything away from them because they're still learning, but there is a gap, an unbridged gap between the open anglers and the elite anglers. Let's just make sure that we're clear on that, right? For 90% of them. But at the end of the day, the top college and high school kids nowadays, they're as good as, top anglers were years ago, even on a pro
Yeah.
level. I mean, they're very, very knowledgeable and know what they're doing. They control their boats very well. They know what, all their equipment really well. I mean, it's really amazing, and it makes me feel really good about the future of bass fishing, that it's not going anywhere. It's just going to get bigger. And when I covered the college national championship at Winyah Bay this year, we were in downtown Georgetown, South Carolina. Georgetown, South Carolina, and where the stage was set up, the place was packed. Like
Yeah.
I was doing live, social media feed with my phone because I was so shocked about how many people were there. It looked like Haight-Ashbury in 1969. I mean, there were people all the way back to the water from where the
Wow.
stage setup was. It was really cool and really amazing and fun to watch.
Yeah. And you even think things like the combine that they do now, like you're having to perform in front of coaches and stuff, like all of that stuff just mentally prepares you. And Tristan McCormick is a freaking hammer.
Yeah.
So tell me some behind the scenes stuff. You got anything from that event, or are we just going to talk about how talented he is?
One of the things that did stand out about Tristan is, like I said, his focus. And a lot of times, when I'm in the boat with an angler, let's say an elite pro, I might say, "Hey, Lee," or "Hey, Brandon." I might just ask some random question about their family when it's slow or whatever it is. And I know the time is right where I can do that. I might say something to Tristan and he wouldn't answer me. And I'd go, "Tristan," and I'd ask him the question again, and he'd look up and go, "Huh, what?" He's so
that
focused.
focused.
Yeah. He didn't
Wow.
even, like, there were times where he forgot I was even there. He was so focused on what he was doing. And I mean that wholeheartedly. I'm not exaggerating. He literally was so tuned out of his like the ambient area, and focused on his microcosm. It is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that's what separates Tristan from a lot of people.
Yeah, all in. I mean, and it's weird because you talk to those young guys and like how focused they are when they're actually competing. It feels like it's like sports have levels, and you see different, like, I've used this example before in the past. In MMA, UFC used to see strikers could get very far, but then they'd match a wrestler and the wrestler would beat them and then a wrestler might get beat by a submission expert. You know what I mean? There's always just
Right.
But you could be a specialist. And now it just seems like then there became a time where people didn't train. Like when UFC started, there was a good dude they trained wrestling and then they learned the other stuff, or they were boxers and learned the other stuff, or kickboxer, whatever. Now they just train everything and they're so well-rounded. And that's what it feels like's happening with the young anglers.
Oh.
Not just on the Elite Series, but the young anglers that are, the future of the sport. You look at them in every single league. They're all just a more polished, more well-rounded version of their forefathers.
And you can see it between anglers. Okay. So for example, like, I I filmed Tristan at Lake Hartwell. He's live scoping spotted bass in deep water, right?
Yeah.
And he's thinking about where can I go upgrade 5 ounces because it's Lake Hartwell, right? And he goes and upgrades 5 or 6 ounces and ends up winning the tournament by a few ounces. Then, a week or 10 days later, whatever it was, I go down to Sam Rayburn for the final day coverage of the Sam Rayburn Open. He's third on championship Saturday. He's in third place with a chance to win that tournament, fishing in a Texas reservoir full of big largemouth, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and so, and who was it? I can't remember. Who was it? One of the elite pros that was fishing that event. Maybe it was Brian New. I can't remember who it was, but someone was fishing close to us along a dam where Tristan was catching his largemouth, and the mutual respect he was showing Tristan just based on the fact that they were conversing back and forth. Hey man, what you got? Do you mind if I go up here? And they were sort of swapping leads on their move back and forth up and down the dam, and it was you know it was cool for me to see an elite pro giving Tristan that kind of respect, knowing he's an angler at a very high level.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat to see that. It's
Do you
not
think that?
just turn my nose up to a kid. You know what I mean?
Do you think that? Is it because of live, but it feels like to me that there's more of that happening now than there used to be. This is my spot. Get out of here. Like, I mean, and maybe it's just, a good year. Everyone got along, but it does feel like you're out there covering the event. Do you feel like there's more of that, or is there just as much of you pull into an area and you get big brothered every once in a while?
There's just as much big brother getting.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
I was trying to make it all nice and rosy.
I think that perhaps live has brought that on, because you have to represent, you have to be professional, all those things. You can't blow a cork on live, but at the same time, I think that transcends into your personality too, because after so long of thinking you have to be that way, you become that. And I think there that has transcended things, but I also know that when we're not live, that there's a lot of that other
It does
stuff
happen.
still going on. Yeah.
It does happen behind the scenes. I get that. So Tristan won and you were with him. So that's your streak. I don't even know what your record is now, but it's good. I mean, it's really good. I'm pretty sure Zaldane and Rickard would have won if it wasn't for your little strep throat drama situation.
That was the day they weren't consistent. They caught 13 pounds that day. And I think they had almost
Zach.
15. Yeah. Zach, my strep throat. But I think that would have been like 7 wins this year that I covered, something like that overall. Yeah. Including high school and college and the open and
who'd you cover at the other open?
Oh, I don't think I covered another win at an open. I just think
no, but who were you with at the?
I covered Chris. I forget his last. I can't remember his name. He's from Wisconsin.
You're gonna get in so much trouble.
I know.
Who won it? Was that the one Combs won?
No, that was the one. That was at Chesapeake Bay. Who won Chesapeake Bay? Combs won Rayburn.
Yeah.
I covered Tristan McCormick at Rayburn too.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Like the Rayburn event, those were the last 2 opens, right?
Oh yeah.
When was Chesapeake?
That was like 2 weeks before.
Oh, the strep's getting into your brain. We're just talking about the last 2 opens.
Dude, I went from Chesapeake Bay to Montgomery, Alabama, back up to I was all over the place on that trip.
I hear you. Combs, it was awesome to see him win and get into the freaking classic. Ironically, guess who our guest is next week? Keith Combs.
What a great! Obviously I root for the guy that I'm in the boat with, but when we really realized that Tristan wasn't going to win that event, I was rooting for Combs. I really was. I love Keith Combs.
He really is. he's a pretty incredible dude, and it was good to see him. He's been so close the last couple of years. You know, like previous to that, he was on cruise control. It seemed like nothing, you know, could rattle him. Always in the top 10 for Angler of the Year. It felt like for a number of years, but the last few years, I mean, he's finished just outside of the Classic. In some situations, the first person out of the Classic. So to get in the last spot in the Classic was kind of cool. And I look forward to that conversation that I'll have with him. But
I had Combs up on the upper Mississippi in our last event.
Yeah.
For 2 days.
He was, I feel like he thought he was going to win that one. Like, I really, like, that's the vibe I got from him. Like, at the end of an event, you talk to different dudes, and sometimes you're like, they're like, yeah, no, 5th was great. I had a good week. You know, if it wasn't for that fish on day 3, I wouldn't have made it here or whatever. But I felt like talking to Combs, he thought he was going to win that tournament.
Yeah, I think I mean, he did. He had the spots. He was on the right fish, but I think he just kind of ran out of fish on the last day in one of his big fish spots. And there was Brian Schmidt stayed on one of his spots, and he kept coming back to it to see to spot check it to see if Schmidt had left, and Schmidt never left. He stayed on that same exact spot the entire time. But that was one of those spots that Keith Combs had fished earlier in the tournament. So, you know, he was on it. He had a great tournament. I'm glad he finished where he did, but I'm really, really glad he qualified for the Classic at that Rayburn Open, because he deserves it.
Yeah, and keep in mind, I mean, he was in the mix when Gussie won in Knoxville.
That's true.
And that's where we're going for the Classic. So that could set up well for Keith Combs. We'll see how that
what's your prediction? Can we start that yet?
No, dude, I'm horrible at Classic predictions because it's almost never the person you think. You know what I mean? Like last year, I mean,
like
give credit, you called it right out from the beginning that it would be Christie, and I don't know. I haven't even started to think about it. I think to guess now is not giving the anglers and the fish enough credit, unless you have a sentimental favorite. You know what I mean? I just really want to see somebody like the Christie get redemption. But that river, the last time we were there, Gussie won. If you had asked anybody the day before that tournament, other than Seth Fighter, nobody would have picked Gussie as the winner in that event. But the way it's set up and the special area he found. So let's get closer and I'll pick somebody, because why piss them off this early? I mean, because you're really only going to make one person happy, and they're not going to be that happy. They'll just be like, oh, you put pressure on me.
Yeah,
and then everyone else will be like, why didn't you pick me? It's an emotional roller coaster. I mean, it's not like anyone ever comes up and says, hey, thanks for picking me. But they sure get pissed when you don't.
That's exactly right. I have something cool to share with you, Dave. I've been wanting to do this.
All right.
On every podcast so far, but we always have so much to talk about.
Yeah.
And since it's the off season, particularly now after the Redfish Cup, I have something I want to share with you. So I have a collection. I started this in 2020, I think, where if I film someone win a tournament, I would ask them for the winning bait or one of them. And Brandon Cobb at Lake Fork, when he won in 2020, started it for me. And that is the official jerk bait that he was using that caught his fish for 4 days on Lake Fork, and he signed it for me.
Very cool. Very cool.
Okay. But there's more. I have, let me see if I can, I don't have that many, but I'm starting to gain a nice collection. This is the frog that Lee Livesey won Chickamauga with.
Yeah.
That is the frog. Look how beat up it is.
Very beat up. No signature on that one.
No signature on that one. I can get Lee's signature, but I do have.
They wear off on that. That's the problem, because I have
repainted the tiger stripes with a Sharpie, so it's kind of a signature.
Come on, really? Are those his paint strokes?
Those are
Lee Livesey is surprisingly more artistic than I would have given him credit for.
Those are his Sharpie paint stripes.
Wow.
Yeah. This is John Cruz's winning jig at the St. Johns River, the first event that we had this year in Florida.
Very nice.
which is really cool. This is I really like this one. And ironically, like all these jigs look so similar. This is the winning jig that Caleb Kufal used at Lake Guntersville.
Very cool.
Okay. This one isn't
You like cut it right off the line that's on there. You just like,
no, I have them hanging. I have a like a chandelier. I actually have the rod. Do you remember when Chris Zaldane caught that 5-pounder at Eufaula and he snapped the top of his rod off and he said, "Oh, high stick penalty." He gave me that Megabass rod and I have that on my wall hanging on these really large thumbtacks that have long plastic push pins on them, and then I have all these baits hanging there from monofilament, and I have other baits like flies and sailfish teaser baits and stuff from around the world. But this is a number 5 finish for Jay Yellis at St. Clair 3 years ago. You remember that? He was throwing that
old school
chatterbait,
smallmouth bass fishing,
catching smallmouth bass on a chatterbait in 5 feet of water. That was pretty cool. Okay, now to the big ones. This is, and I do have an autograph on this one. This is Lee Livesey's 300 DD that he caught his 8-3 on his last cast at Lake Fork this year to win that tournament.
Very cool.
And this is one of the jigs that he used as well, one of the Texas rigs that he used as well to win at Lake Fork this year. And this is my prize possession.
Oh boy.
Yeah, this one's really, really cool.
Drum roll.
What's that? Drum roll.
This
is a drum roll. That is the winning jig that Jason Christie won the Bassmaster Classic at Lake Hartwell with this year.
Very, very
How
cool.
cool is that?
Very cool. Very cool. You know, anglers used to give me signed lures, but there's been this guy for like the last 10 years that has circumvented. I never knew who that son of a bitch was, but it turns out it's you. No, those are very cool. I actually have in my bar downstairs, it's kind of a shadow box bar, and it's full of lures. And some of them, and they're all like signed by somebody. Some of them are some incredible angler. Some of them are people that I'm just buddies with and end up fishing with. And some of them, you know, it's just all sorts of cool, different things. But yeah, those come with great memories, and you've turned it into a baby mobile that you can lay under and look up at. That's what I'm envisioning.
That's kind of what it looks like. Yeah. I have a raised desk, where I have some editing. I have like 4 different editing stations in my studio, and that's one of the elevated desks where I sit at a bar stool and do some small edits on a small MacBook, and they're hanging over the MacBook there. It's pretty cool. I do have a little sample bottle with water in it from when Taku won the St. Lawrence River, his Nico worms or whatever he was using. But man, they bloated up and they look like these giant like aliens. So I didn't bother to bring those over, but I have those too.
Matt Pangrak from Bass Talk Live, he has a cool thing that I've been trying to buy from him because it was, I guess, at the Knoxville Classic, Jordan's last classic that he competed in, or it might have been the last one that Jordan won. Regardless, doesn't matter. He scooped water out of his live well as he was pumping it out in the back. He's like, "Do you mind if I grab this water?" And he put it in a water bottle. Now he's made it in like a shadow box and everything, which is kind of cool. The water out of the live well,
no doubt.
And especially since Jordan doesn't use a live well anymore, or much less than he used to. Yeah, I think I told Panger I started the bidding at like $700 because he was going to do it to raise money, and I was like, or maybe 5 it was, and he was like, "Okay, you're the leading bidder when we go public with it." Well, he's never gone public with it, so I think he just wants to keep freaking water, and that's fine.
You go. That's fine. It's like having a little piece of the turf when Tennessee at a Neyland Stadium when Tennessee beat Alabama.
Oh my gosh, that was quite the soiree of things. But it turns out Alabama's not that hard to beat by the looks of things.
Oh, come on. They're still out. We started that trend. I will say, I want to correlate that to the Bassmaster Classic because I actually know Knoxville really well. I lived there for several years. I go back there all the time. I still go back to football games from time to time. Knoxville is my, somewhat home to me. And I believe that the electricity in the atmosphere and in the air in the crowd at the Bassmaster Classic this year is going to be at a higher level because of what the University of Tennessee's athletic program is doing. The whole city's just in a more festive, upbeat, bring it, we'll freaking support it kind of mode right now. So
Yeah.
I think this classic is going to be freaking gargantuan.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it'll beat the record that they previously set. Just because, especially for a lot of reasons, I think that everybody realized how incredible of a host city it was the last time. I mean, you can walk to the takeoff in the morning, everything's right there. It's also going to be the first classic that a lot of people that couldn't travel can travel now, as weird as that seems. But it's finally, you know what I mean? Like all the people that come from Europe, and there's a bunch of them, and all the Canadians that can come, and yeah, it'll be cool. I think it's going to be giant, and I think Knoxville is close to everyone almost. It seems like, you know what I mean? Like it's close to people who live in Michigan, but it's also not that bad for people that live in Florida. If you live in California, everything's far. Everything's
North
far.
Carolina, South Carolina, all the lakes around Chattanooga, all the way down the Tennessee River. Like it's actually very centralized from a bass fishing cultural perspective. It's actually very well centralized where it needs to be. I want to say this too. Hopefully, I don't burst a bubble here, but have you heard about the entourage that's from Carl Jocumson's fan base that's coming over from Australia?
The Aussies. Well, the Aussies are a very supportive group. They're a lot like the Irish, little island full of crazy people that love to drink.
So party. I mean, there's a guy that I've been in touch that I've been communicating with on Instagram. He told me right now there are 54 people slated to come over for the classic from Australia to watch Carl and just to see the hoopla.
Yeah.
I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah. And I got to believe
54 people.
And I bet you it's more than that by the time it's done. You know what I mean? And then you'll have all the Australians that live in America that'll embrace him. And I think it's going to be, I think, two huge pops that I think people don't realize how big of a pop we're going to get from Carl Jacobson at the Bassmaster Classic and his followers. But the other dude is Coop, who's coming to the Elite Series. I'm telling you, the Johnsons and Gussie have made the classic, and they'll be in this classic, and a lot of people come to support them. But Coop is just one of those weird dudes that everybody thinks they're his friend. Whether
he's like Grover from Sesame Street, man.
But because everyone's known him since he's such a little kid, you know what I mean? You watch him. So I think that, it'll be really cool to see the crowd that he brings. And it's going to be a freaking huge classic. It's going to be awesome.
I'm so pumped. And it's really just right around the corner too. I mean, we're in the off season, but there's really no off season anymore. We've got basically in November, 3 weeks in November, December, January. I mean, we're 3 months away from the classic, really.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild. It's coming. It's coming. And before that, the Elite Series, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
The kickoff for the Chase the Angler of the Year, and everything starts again. Speaking of which, one of the cool things that I don't know if it got enough hype, but there's some things that, we both work for B.A.S, and we love B.A.S, and B.A.S isn't perfect. No company is, but we love a lot about B.A.S. And one of the things that I love about B.A.S was something they did with Angler of the Year and Rookie of the Year. Did you see those billboards that in Paul Nick's part of the world and Jay Secure's part of the world, the anglers didn't even know that they were happening. They just started getting texts from people saying you're on a billboard. And to me, that is so cool. kudos to Bass on that. I don't know whose idea it was, but whoever pulled the trigger on that, that's freaking cool. And it goes beyond even like, the problem is people will start to be, oh yeah, I get a billboard now. They always do that or something. I don't know if they always, to me, it's nobody's expecting it, and for it to happen is just really cool.
It happened. Didn't they do that for Hank Cherry?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
When he won the Classic. And did they not do that for Jason Christie when he won the Classic too down in Oklahoma?
Maybe. I don't know.
I think they've
don't
done
know.
it
I
like
mean,
4 times this year, 4 times now, 2 Classics, and then the Angler of the Year and the Rookie of the Year. And I mean, even if that, I mean, say what you want, right, people? But even if that's, you know, nothing more than a feel good situation, it's still like that would be like a huge part of the reward of winning something, because you're that guy. All of a sudden you're on you're on a billboard, a Bassmaster. I mean, we've seen, you know, advertisements like down at Gunnersville or Chickamauga. You know, they have those billboards. Maybe the Chamber of Commerce does that, or maybe Bass does. I don't know, but that is such a Ray Scott thing to do. Is that not true?
Yeah, but you're promoting the event in those situations. To me,
Right.
there's, I mean, this is literally special to nobody but that person and their
Right.
family. You know what I mean? And
It's like,
it's
thank
so
you.
cool. It's also so cool for these dudes live in different towns all around, you know, the world now. And it's cool for their town to really see the impact they're making, because the truth is, a lot of people from Rathdrum, Idaho probably don't know that Brandon Palnick's a 2-time Angler of the Year. And if they do, they don't put it together. Yeah, he's a fishing guy. He does this, whatever. But to see that billboard in front of your home community, I think is pretty freaking cool. And I hope we keep doing that, because
that's an investment. That's an investment, right? For Bass to do that. I mean, I wonder how long they're leaving those up.
I don't know. It was probably just a one-day deal. Quick, get a picture. Once they post on social media, it'll be done. No, I don't know. Maybe a month, 2 months,
30 minutes.
We want to buy a billboard for 30 minutes.
Yeah, we'll have this up for 30 minutes. You can pay for the rest of it if you want the rest of the contract. We just totally flushed that whole concept down the toilet.
No, I don't know the details, but I think it was a great thing, and I'm sure it was up for a while, and I'm sure it's still up.
I bet it is, yeah.
Hey, did you say, speaking of which, and I have to address it while we're here, did you watch last week's show with Rut Danielson?
I did not, but we talked about it. I haven't yet, but I'm going to. I know. I'm sorry, Dave.
Hey, if you guys loved it, you're welcome. If you did not like it, hey, you never know what you're going to get on this freaking show.
You got to try it, right?
And I think it was very different, but
he's a bit different.
Well, we all are. We all are.
That's true. That's true.
Everybody's different, and I can't believe I kept a straight face the whole time. Really, like I never rewatched these, but I rewatched that one because I just, you know, I'd heard some feedback from some people, and I just wanted to say, and I was actually shocked at how I committed. Like, I was very serious for the majority of it, when most of it was not serious. But it's good to know that my good buddy Jake tunes in.
At least I was honest. He said, "Hey, did you watch the Rut Daniels show?" No, not yet, not yet, not yet. I still have some catching up to do, actually.
Well, you had a whole day Saturday. Why didn't you wake up and?
Oh, dude, I was watching the Tennessee-Georgia game. Remember?
Oh yeah.
I felt like crap Saturday. I couldn't even, all I could listen to was my head pounding.
So what's next for you? We're off now. Like, I mean, I'm literally wearing pajamas on the bottom. I'm literally, just so you know, I'm totally off. I've got pajamas on. That's how committed to being off I am right now. Go ahead.
There's a chance I might be going back to Pakistan in January to shoot a big game hunt. Yep, I've got some duck hunts lined up with some apparel companies to shoot some promo videos for. I'm going to be busier than probably I want to be this winter. I'd really just like to take the whole winter off and spend it all that time with my children. To be honest with you,
I hear you.
I love spending time with my kids.
Yeah, yeah. It's valuable time, and it goes away way too quick. So
It's
enjoy
precious.
them.
I
Enjoy
literally
them.
came back from Port Aransas, and I know it was only 5 days, and I do this all the time. For some reason, all three of my kids had a growth spurt while I was gone, and I came back and I was like, why do I have two bean poles in the family all of a sudden? You know, like it was kind of weird, really, and it kind of made me sad. Like, man, I better spend. I better truly, arrange my schedule to make sure that I maximize my opportunities with my children, because like you said, it doesn't last long. It goes by so fast, and once it's gone, you can't ever get it back.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's special. Special. And having you on this little show as often as we do is special, Jake. I
Oh,
I appreciate you always coming on here, and
thank you for having me.
hey, no problem. No problem. So you got Pakistan, and other than that, nothing.
Well, other than small gigs here and there, I may be shooting something from time to time for the Bass University. I think we do have to have one or two more interviews for our Bassmaster or Bass documentary series. We still got two people to
Very
line up
cool.
for this coming year, and be looking up for that, because the first episodes are I think they're working on them, and they're saying that they might start rolling out sometime in January 2023. So that's something I'm really, really, really looking forward to.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
A big part of that is Bob Cobb.
Yes.
So take it away, Bob Cobb. Just kidding. We are back. Jake, you told me you wanted to talk about something before we started, and I tried to be subtle, and you didn't. And now, what are you doing next, Jake?
I'm flying to Tennessee the day after tomorrow because my son Walker has taken up boxing as a competitor or competing athlete in the USA Boxing Organization. And his first fight, he's been training for 4 months. His first fight is in Pikeville, Tennessee, this coming Saturday, November the 10th. And we're flying back to Tennessee Thursday to go set him up. His whole team's flying to Tennessee, but we're going to go stay with my sister, and my mom's driving up from Florida. My niece is coming in. I've got friends coming in from West Tennessee to watch it. It's going to be cool, and I'm so excited. And my son had his last sparring match last night in practice in preparation for his first fight, and his coach and I evaluated, where he is with his boxing skills right now, and we feel like he's ready to go, and he's got a challenge ahead of him. He's never had a fight in his life. He sparred a lot for his age, but he's never had a true match against someone he's never fought before. And this kid's had like 7 or 8 fights, and he's pretty good. I looked him up on Instagram, so he's we'll see what happens. My son has got a really stiff jab. He knocked a kid down yesterday in sparring match, literally 8 years old. He knocked him to the canvas, not knocked him silly. He just knocked him down, and he's got a good right hand. So we'll see what happens.
Wow. He's like, how long has he been boxing? For 4 months, and he's already
4
in
months. That's how long.
Seems quick though to me. Like, I would think it would be longer before your first fight.
Yeah, when I talked to his coach fought. He was a participant on the 1984 USA Olympic team. His name is Bobby Peralta, and he actually got disqualified because he originated from Nicaragua, and at that time, if you remember back in the 80s,
I like how you say that. Say that again.
Nicaragua. Yeah. So that's how you say it, right?
Yeah. No, most people just say Nicaragua. Yeah. But when you put a little flair behind
Nicaragua.
Yeah.
So he's from Nicaragua, and he got disqualified because he went down there to visit, and that was during the boycott of the Jimmy Carter era into the early Ronald Reagan years, and they were forbidden to go to that area in Nicaragua because of the Contra the Contra situation and all the cocaine and the Contra weapons that were being traded down there. That was no man's land. So he went down there and got disqualified. Anyway, he had a 16-year professional career. So this he's a real deal. He knows, he has a great gym, provides everything for free. He's doing it just like Cus D'Amato did for Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson and all those boxers. He's doing it for the youth. And so we have these heart-to-heart conversations. And I asked him, when do you think Walker would be ready? And he said, it usually takes me about 4 months to get a new kid ready for their first fight. And that's my goal, is to get them into their first fight. And if they never fight again, at least they know here, this is his mantra or his ethos. If I can get a kid into the ring for the first time to fight in a competitive fight, and he actually goes through with it, that kid most likely will have other successes in life. Because if you're going into a ring and you're going to get hit in the face, you have to fight someone in a combat sport, then you should then be prepared to be able to have, the guts to do anything, because you're going to get hit in the face. And I believe that as well. So that was one of the reasons why I got my son into boxing. And lo and behold, did I know that he was just going to love it. Like, I don't push him. I don't ask him if he wants to go to practice. He asked me, when are we going to go to practice again? And when we come home, if he doesn't have practice, I have a gym in my garage as well, heavy bag and speed bag and,
Of course you do.
yeah, all that stuff. And so when we come home, my son always wants to hit the mitts and the heavy bag when we're here. So I know he loves it. We'll see how he does. Oftentimes you lose your first fight, particularly when you fight someone at a higher skill level. So I don't expect a lot other than the fact that he's going to build character. He might win. He's a great athlete. He could beat this kid. I've seen him on Instagram fight. So we'll see. We'll report back on the next podcast we do. How's that?
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see this. I'm excited. I did not know of your affinity for boxing until Walker started training, and now I can't believe he's fighting already. But if he makes it big, we can be like the first podcast that ever talked about you, kid.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, he watches fights on YouTube in his room at night. Like, he studies it. It's weird.
Wow.
He studies Rubik's cubes and boxing.
Those are two very, very different things. But I guess,
but similar sort
does he analyze everything is that his nature always? Like,
yeah,
I'm so impressed with what he did with the Rubik's cube. He must look at other stuff like that.
He looks at everything like that. Like, he does his homework in 15 minutes. And when he brings it back from school graded, it's always like 100%. Like, he's a very bright kid. I don't know if he's really mine or not, but he's definitely if I can brag for a second, he's a very bright kid.
A very bright kid. And we'll see how this boxing thing goes.
Yeah, we'll see.
Are we done now?
We are. Thanks for letting me mention that.
Hey, go get him, Walker. We're all cheering for you. Everybody,
yes.
How about everybody just give a thumbs up in the comments for Walker, and then that'll help this podcast and Walker. It's a 2 for nothing or 2 for 1. Anyways, take it away, Bob Cobb.
Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, because Bob Cobb of the Bassmasters told you to. You hear?